and liftoff.
There's one big reason why U.S. astronauts take Russian rockets to the International Space Station, says spaceflight historian Amy Shira Teitel via Skype.
Currently, Russia's our only way up to orbit for the International Space Station and for any other human mission. We're relying on Russia 100%.
Landing gear down and locked.
When the last space shuttle touched down in 2011, the United States was left without its own ride to the ISS. NASA focused its budget instead on the next generation spacecraft, says National Air and Space Museum curator Kathleen Lewis.
The Russians are partners in the International Space Station, therefore they were deemed reliable to be able to supply services to the space station. They have the Soyuz, which has been operational for 50 years now.
The Soyuz rocket the U.S. astronauts are riding is a direct descendant of the one that put the very first satellite in orbit in 1957. The Cold War was in full swing, and if the Soviet Union could launch a satellite, they could deliver a nuclear warhead anywhere in the world. That launched the space race, with a military subtext to each propaganda victory.
The Eagle has landed.
It essentially ended with the 1969 moon landing. Along the way, both sides had suffered tragedies along with the triumphs, Shira Teitel says.
It was starting to be clear that space was really hard and really dangerous. People were dying, not even in missions, but in testing and in training on both sides. So the idea was, well, let's have a rescue capability and let's have an ability to support each other in space.
So in 1975, an American Apollo and a Russian Soyuz spacecraft met in orbit.
Glad to see you.
Cosmonauts and astronauts shook hands. It was a major political and engineering feat, Lewis says.
That created a bond, but also the knowledge that we could do this, even in the height of the Cold War, and probably one of the worst periods of the Cold War, that both sides could get together and do this unperturbed by the politics going on around them.
Today, the United States, Russia, and 13 other countries collaborate on the International Space Station. That kind of collaboration will likely be essential as humans reach beyond Earth, Lewis says.
It's going to take a lot of money, a lot of resources to ship there to make either the moon or Mars habitable to humans. So this will likely be the model on which humans explore our celestial neighbors in the solar system.
For now, collaboration is the only way to get to the ISS.
And liftoff.
But SpaceX and Boeing expect to bring human launch capability back to U.S. soil in a year or so. Steve Baragona, VOA News, Washington.